It's absolutely apptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNR Network websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
Blueberry.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
On air, online, on now. From the hub of the universe, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, this is Subject Cinema, with your hosts, T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
So, what is this thing called Subject Cinema anyway? We haven't been doing them very much because of all the miniseries we've been doing the last few months.
We've been working really hard on doing things to hopefully entertain you guys, but we have been kind of doing little side projects and things. Yep. But now we're back.
Welcome to Subject Cinema number 630. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Day and date June 1st, 2019. And today and tomorrow we're going to have two special episodes as we talk about all the film festivals in Boston from March through May on our annual Boston Spring the Festival shows. Today we're going to give an overview. Tomorrow, 13 reviews from films. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. How have you been? I mean, we've been so busy doing first the Avengers Endgame and then the 31 Days of Godzilla that we've only done like 2 or 3 Subject Cinemas in between, and it hasn't been that much. Now, as we head back into regular programming, all the regular shows should be back this week, including Front Row 5 and 10. I still got to get my Muppet list ready. And we're going to have the regular shows back. We'll also be finally debuting the new season of Catastrophe, Vortex, and the 2 other new shows on Patreon, Film Flash and Freeze Frame. Oh, we got a lot to talk about on Freeze Frame.
Yep.
Lots we're going to have fun with.
Oh,
so you'll have to be a Patreon member to get those shows. Don't forget that, because if you don't, you're going to be missing a lot of cool stuff. So join us at patreon.com/PNRNetworks.
And we already have something over on Patreon right now.
Kim's show, Kaiju Corner, is over there already. She's done 3 of them. We'll be doing more throughout the summer, and there might be more either coming or possibly moving to Patreon. We'll talk more about that next week.
Okay.
Because next week's show is going to be... We have 3 special shows lined up for you. This weekend, 2 shows. So 4 shows, actually. 2 shows are Boston Springs Festival. Next week is our Patreon show. We'll be talking about why we're on Patreon, why we need you to support us, what we're going to be doing, and all kinds of stuff if you can support us. And the week after that, Subject Cinema is celebrating its 15th year on the air.
Wow.
For birthday 14 coming up in mid-June, and I can't believe it. And we'll be doing all kinds of crazy stuff for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts.
But right now, let's get back to the hub of the universe, as they call it up here.
Yes.
Boston, Massachusetts. eCinemaBoston has extensive coverage of all this, and if you haven't checked it out, You can see everything on it by going to eCinemaBoston.com and going through the last 6 or 8 weeks of show. Mm-hmm. Every year from March 1st through May 1st, or somewhere in there, Boston turns into Film Festival City.
Yes.
9 festivals falling within that 8-week period, another festival 2 weeks before that period starts, and 2 ongoing film series, plus another film festival en masse slightly outside of the 50-mile radius we use for eCinemaBoston.
Yep.
So all of that is going to be encompassed a little bit on this show, and we're going to tell you a little bit about them in chronological order. First up is the one that falls slightly outside of our Boston Springs Festival time period. So we don't give it Boston Springs Festival acknowledgement, but we do acknowledge that it's there, and that is the Boston Sci-Fi Festival. Boston Sci-Fi Festival runs President's Day week every year in February, finishing on President's Day weekend with what is affectionately known as the Thon, 24 hours straight of science fiction classics, outlandish music videos and shorts and everything else. Mm-hmm. It has been run for years by Garen Daly, and they are the oldest of the film festivals here in Boston. It's just pretty crazy when you think about the kind of stuff that they do every year. They have special guests come in. The bad thing about the Boston Sci-Fi Festival, and this year it didn't affect it.
Is timing.
Yeah. A couple years in a row there, it was partially wiped out by massive blizzards, because it happens the third week in February usually. Mm-hmm. And it is crazy. Now, we actually got to a film at the Sci-Fi Festival this year, which we'll review tomorrow as part of our reviews, about the art of Dungeons and Dragons, so that's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. Usually we have to rely on screeners and stuff, but Boston Sci-Fi has been around. Let me double check here, because I haven't pulled the site up. It's not on my list yet. It's not on that particular list, but I can pull it up off the other list here. Because it's right. Oh, it was right there. Are you kidding me? Oh, there it is. I have a whole bunch of festivals. There's a ton of festivals up here every year.
Yes, there are.
Boston celebrated its 44th Boston Sci-Fi this year. Next year, the 45th edition will happen from 7th to the 17th of February 2020. And they've already got stuff up for it. They always do every year. And it had a lot of interesting stuff. This year's festival award winners, they have every year. The Festival Director's Commendation, which goes to the first-time director. The winner was Frenia. I can't even say that film name. Future Vision Award for Best New Media is Subverse. Most Provocative Film went to 2050. Best of Fest went to The Worlds of Ursula K. Le Guin, which was a documentary. Mm-hmm. The Ingenuity Award Best Story went to Lake Artifact. Best Actor or Actress went to Taryn O'Neill. Best Effects went to Beacon. Best Director went to Paul Samanoff for Encounter. Best Doc to Shelley Bonestell, A Brush with the Future. The Shannon Maloney Award went to Fran and Frank Urbano. Rising Tide Award to Accelerator, the Gortz Short Award to 8 minutes 27 seconds, 8:27. Best Sound Design Feature, Dark Sense. Best Sound Design Short, The Last Dance. Mm-hmm. This year on the marathon, they had, this is what we mean by craziness. For 24 hours of craziness, they had the Andromeda Strain, the original. Actually, no. Is it 1991? No, that can't be the original one then. Robert Wise couldn't have directed that then. I think they've got the date wrong. Annihilation, Destination Moon, Dr. Cyclops, Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century, Escape from New York, Frau im Mond from Fritz Lang, Inner Space, Rollerball, the original, Source Code, Sunshine, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Now these are, what an eclectic group of stuff.
Place, yeah.
They really are, and they always are. I wish I'd known they were going to show Star Trek. We could have went, because that would have been fun. So they're the first ones, and they're not officially officially they're not a part of Boston's Music Festival, but we always talk about them because they have to be mentioned. Now, starting with March 1st and going through May 1st is the actual Boston Springs Festival period. Mm-hmm. We have always advocated this every year, and it's worked a few times, that there are enough weekends for each festival to have its own weekend.
Yep.
This year, twice, 3 of them were running at the same time. And one weekend, 4 of them. So it's like, are you kidding me? Come on. You know, if you're a film fan and we try to get to at least one film at all of them if we can.
It's really difficult.
We can't do when you do that. Also, there have been some changes. It used to be that Salem was first, but Salem moved to the end of March and early April from the beginning of March last year. So it's kind of been topsy-turvy since then.
I think they did that for a good reason.
Well, yeah, I do too. It's very cold and the weather is so unpredictable in March, especially in Salem. It gets to be kind of crazy sometimes. So, they just want to make sure everything's right and get it, so it's convenient for everybody. So first up this year, was another festival we always thoroughly enjoy, the Boston Underground Film Festival. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to harp on this like I do every year, which is not actually in Boston. It's in Cambridge. It's held at the Brattle Theater. Yep. It's it should say Metro Boston or Boston area.
Yeah.
They all do that, and one of them has a real problem with it because it's all over the freaking state. We'll talk about that in a minute. Underground is usually reserved for 18 and up, 16 and up.
Oh, yeah. Except for
Saturday morning cereal and cartoons, it would not be a good idea to bring kids to some of these movies.
Well, you couldn't bring kids to some of these movies because they're rated R.
No, they're not rated usually. They're not rated at all.
Okay,
most of them. This year's schedule had a lot of interesting titles, some of which have been talked about for a while. Hail Satan, which was a huge hit at Sundance and which also showed in Salem, was there. Clickbait was there. Another one, The Industrial Accent, the story of Wax Trax Records, which has gotten a lot of good word of mouth. Girl on the Third Floor, which is the acting debut of, here is Phil Brooks. He's known best as CM Punk. Mm-hmm. Then there's been Mope, which was also a big hit at a couple of other festivals. Knife Plus Heart, which had a great deal of word of mouth coming into this. It was co-presented and re-shown at Wicked Queer later in the month. We'll get into that in a minute. And I mean, the titles they run, Happy Face, which was one of the big hits at Slam Dance this year. Their whole point is subversive. They do subversive movies, subversive videos, subversive shorts, and they usually time it to do it on Easter weekend when they can. This year they couldn't do that because Easter came late, but it's like...
Yeah. It's called Boston Underground for a reason. Yeah. I mean, not all of these films are shocking. Some of them are just weird, off-kilter, or whatever.
And even some of them aren't necessarily weird. They're just... Different. I Declare War came out of the Underground Film Festival, which was a great film.
Which was a great film. Unfortunately, it's a film that would be very difficult to market nowadays.
Yeah, we also got the likes of Manborg,
the Beast Pageant.
For a few years ago.
Horrible Way to Die.
And of course the inimitable Karate Robo Zabugar, which she insisted on going to. And she's never lived down since.
She doesn't care because she liked it. So
Underground has a great team there, and they have some incredible films. I mean, sometimes we'll see a film, and like some of them actually go on to modest success at the theater, like Big Ass Spider, which did some big numbers. I can't think of the title of it, with Robin Wright, The Congress, and
which was your idea, and I've never let you live down.
I loved that movie.
Yeah, I know you did.
It was a bit long, but I loved it.
I know you did. I
felt
like
a masterpiece that we both fell in love with that we didn't expect, called Vanishing Waves a few years ago.
Wow,
which is this incredible Norwegian, very mind trippy movie.
Definitely,
I loved. What was the mermaid musical? The Vampire Mermaid musical. The Lure. I
yeah.
loved The Lure,
Yeah.
and they're actually making an American remake of it, like I said they would.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, but that one was interesting.
We've seen some incredible films at Underground. Yeah. I mean, the Beast Pageant is one of the most unique films I've ever seen,
and it's no longer available.
And it was an incredible film. A Horrible Way to Die is a horror movie that shows you that you don't need to have buckets and buckets and buckets of gore, and you don't need an 8-foot tall guy with a machete and a hockey mask to be an absolutely terrifying film.
It also put director Adam Wingard and actress Amy Seimetz on the map.
Mm-hmm.
They're both much in demand at Indies. Adam's actually stepping up. He directed Kong vs. Godzilla, which will be out next March.
I mean, that I've been a horror movie fan since I was a little kid, and it takes...
She had screaming nightmares from that movie. I had screaming
nightmares after this movie. It is that friggin' scary.
And yet it's all psychological. It's not really in your face.
It's not what you see. It's what you don't see and what your mind makes up.
Yeah.
That makes that movie just completely, you're like, I have to sleep with the light on for the rest of the month, you know. And we've seen other films that are quirky and weird at Underground, like Machete Maidens Unleashed, which was a documentary about exploitation films filmed in the Philippines, which was really interesting.
Yep.
Very, very enjoyable. And we mentioned cereal and cartoons. We should probably expound on that.
Cereal and
for
cartoons
people who
is
don't know what it
expanding
is.
across the country to a number of underground type festivals. Every year, usually from 10 to 1, they go back and they feature tons of types of cereal and both dairy and non-dairy for vegan and gluten free for gluten people. To peruse as you watch old 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s cartoons. We've been subjected to the likes of the Barkleys and Planet of the Apes and
the Planet of the Apes cartoon was really dark.
Star Trek. They showed Star Trek. They've shown
Super Friends,
Scooby-Doo,
Mr. T.
Mr. T. Oh God, Mr. T.
It was fun. The one year we went, we had a great time.
And we did. They're not all cartoons. We did get Lancelot Link's Secret Chip one year, and although the sync was off by almost a minute.
That, yeah.
I love that show. And some Slim Goodbody thing.
Yeah. They used to encourage people to to wear their pajamas.
They still do.
They do.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, I guess, and kind of quirky, but I'm not wearing I wear gowns, and I'm not wearing those to a movie theater. That's not happening.
Right.
That's just weird.
This year's award winners were the Best Feature went to Happy Face, Best Short to Last Days of the Man of Tomorrow, Best First Feature to Mope, Best New England Film to Let's Be Friends. The Audience Award for Best Feature went to Hail Satan, and the Audience Award for Best Short to Harls, Harls. So Underground, thank you for providing that niche of great movies, and we'll have a review of Hail Satan on tomorrow's show also. I will have a review of Hail Satan.
Yes,
Kim
you
is
will.
not. Kim has refused to see it. And that's her right.
Which is
to
my
do so.
right.
Yeah. Although I still think you find it interesting. But I'm not going to pressure you into it. Next up is the one unique festival in the area that actually runs for 3 consecutive weekends. It's the Boston Turkish Film Festival. It's part of the overall Boston Turkish Festival, where they have music and food and all types of stuff. And it has been, they have an amazing lineup of Turkish films. Usually there were quite a few. They are very hard. It's hard for us to get to because it runs at other times of the other festivals usually. But it also, they've proven to be difficult to get screeners from, which is a shame because there were a couple this year that I was really hoping to check out in time for this show, and we didn't get a chance to. The Wild Pear Tree, which has won a ton of awards over the last couple of years. It was Turkey's official Oscar entry this year. And a movie called The Pigeon, which jumped out at me. I feel bad that we didn't get to and we can't represent them in our reviews. It's not without trying. I have written for screeners and to the production companies and stuff, and they're very hard to come by. They run every year for these 3-week periods at the Boston's Museum of Fine Arts, usually in the Remus Auditorium, but occasionally in the Alfond Auditorium if something else is going on the same weekend, as was the case both weekends this year, all 3 weekends this year.
Yep.
And so, but it does bring you the best of Turkish cinema, and it does. I mean, these suckers sell out. There were 7 sellouts this year, and you know how big the Remus Auditorium is.
Yes.
It's huge. These things sell out every year.
That's where we saw, is that where we saw Zardoz?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a big place.
And there was quite a few sellouts this year, so you got to be on your toes if you're going to go. I wish we could give them more attention because we haven't been able to get up there. But hopefully in years future, we will get them to. The problem isn't so much with the festival. In fact, it's not with the festival at all, because they're very good and they retweet everything we do, and they're making sure people see our coverage, because I think we're practically the only coverage they get, unfortunately. But it's with the distributors of the films. They're very hard to contact and hard to find a lot of times. So we have to do the best we can with them, and unfortunately, that's not always the best it can be. The newest member of the festival circuit in Boston has actually been going on for a number of years, 4 or 5, but we only became aware of it last year, and that is the let me get this right because I always mess it up. The Global Cinema Film Festival of Boston, which actually takes place in Allston, usually at the Regent Theater.
Yeah.
This year is, I'm trying to remember where they were. I think they went to a couple of other places this year too. They've combined some shorts and some features, and did have a couple of well thought of features this year that were at other festivals. Chi-Town, My Father is My Mother's Brother, The Disappearance of My Mother, and Lapoo all appeared at either Sundance or Slamdance, and I think one of them in Toronto. And Fathers and Sons, critically acclaimed film also. So they handle a lot of them. It was just... They have an amazing amount of different stuff. And again, this is the timing on this. It's only one weekend. It's put on by Worldwide Cinema Frames. And we can't always get there. No,
unfortunately not. That's the bad thing about trying to, go to film festivals and things like that where you have a real job. It's sometimes the real job tends to clash with the film festivals and things like that. So.
Yep. This year, things were a little bit different with the 5th festival, the 4th official festival in Boston Springs Festival, because they didn't run a full festival, as it were, but only 2 screenings, which I have to be honest, that's what they usually do anyway, 2 or 3 screenings. The Irish Film Festival took the year off, just doing a couple of screenings at one at Somerville and one at Kendall, of 2 films, one of which was Float Like a Butterfly, and the other one of which was which ran with Late Afternoon, their short film choice for this year, and I'll find the other one in a second. They are traditionally the weekend after St. Patrick's Day, usually in March at the Somerville Theater. Notice they don't put Boston Irish.
Nope.
Yay!
No.
It's just the Irish Film Festival. Although they do have Boston on the sheep, that is their logo. But it's that's only fair. Next year will be the 20th anniversary of the Irish Film Festival.
So hopefully they'll come roaring back.
Though that's what their plan was. That's why they took this year off. Over the years, we've seen some interesting stuff at this festival.
Yes.
Including the far underseen comedy The Runway with Demian Bashir. This movie was so funny, and it was
funny.
It's on Netflix. It's on Amazon if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth the money. Colm Meaney starred in a movie called Parked.
Yep.
With the gentleman, I can't remember his name, who is the star of Merlin, the series of recent years.
Yeah. We also saw a film at that festival called Behold the Lamb.
The less said about that one, the better.
Yeah, that was different.
Different? No, that was not different. I could say more, but I'm not going to. It's not nice to speak ill of things you don't like.
If you can't say anything nice, come sit next to me.
Stella Days also.
Stella Days, which was really special.
Yeah. The people there are always great, and they're good with the screeners when they can be.
Yep.
Saw another great film that you didn't see that I saw was actually another film that had shown, I want to say Sundance. It was, I just had the name of it in my head and it disappeared. I think it's called Men at Lunch. It's about that iconic picture from 1930 something with all the men sitting on the rebar 70 stories above New York as they're building, I think, the Empire State Building. That movie it's great, and it's interesting to see how that came about. But that's one of those films. There's so many shots, film shots and picture shots from that high up, and I have
you can't deal with it.
Serious fear of heights.
Which is understandable. A lot of people can't deal with things like that.
But mine is usually not bad looking down. I have more trouble looking up at big buildings and stuff. But this one, nowadays, down has started to affect me bad. Isn't that why
you've never seen The Walk?
Yes.
Yeah. Which you're missing out because it's a really good movie.
And I didn't see Man on Wire either for the same reason. But it's like, okay. So Irish will be roaring back in 2020 with their 20th anniversary festival, and we wish them all the best with that, as always. When we come back, we'll have the remainder of the festivals and a few other things that happen, and that's coming up
when Subject Cinema returns.
Hit your cue, dear.
Sorry.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
eCinemaOne is your choice for great info and commentary about the world of film and entertainment. Daily trailer postings, the latest news and film reviews, commentary about the state of the industry, the weekly Subject Cinema and 3-Minute Weekend podcast, and so much more you won't believe it. New material is being posted daily, so join us each day and see what you're missing out on. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaOne from PNRNetworks, eCinemaOne.com.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
We probably can't cover the thousands of films made every year, but it's sure a lot of fun to try. Subject Cinema.
It's the 2019 edition of Boston Spring the Festival, and we're so glad you're joining us here on Subject Cinema. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham, Subject Cinema number 630. This is part 1 of 2, and we're in our first part, we're just doing an overview of the festivals to get you in mood for a huge show with 13 reviews tomorrow.
Yep.
We're up next to the one festival that is not limited to Boston. This festival happens in 8 cities across the country at various times of the year. And the Boston Real Abilities Film Festival happens during the Boston Springs of Festival series. Real Abilities is an incredible idea, and I don't know why it wasn't thought of before, but it highlights, what's the term they prefer these days? Handy-capable?
Yeah, it highlights people who have
various disabilities that could affect their lives.
Yeah, mobility issues, vision issues, things like that.
the list of films of this particular festival is always interesting because they don't show necessarily everything that has just come out. Sometimes they'll reach back and grab something that has been out for a year or so, as they did this year. One of the festival's films that they ran was The Writer, Chloe Zhao's big critical acclaimed film from 2018. It's also unique in the fact that it also, in addition to showing some of their stuff it's co-sponsored by one of the fall festivals, the Boston Jewish Film Festival, and also shows at a number of Jewish community centers, some of them as far away as Springfield, which is a 90-minute drive from here. Also, they come to showcase for one every year, our showcase here in Revere. They do the Bright Screening Room at Paramount down at Arts Emerson.
And they've shown it at the Coolidge.
They've had a couple of Coolidge. They do some really great stuff. And I mean, over the years, of course, they did show. I was ecstatic to see that they did show The Crash Reel a couple of years ago, which was just a great film. This year, they had a number of veterans shows. They had also a number of sellouts because a lot of their stuff are in smaller venues. So you have to be. Then also the other thing about Real Abilities, every film is free. You have to reserve it on the website. You have to order a reserved ticket, but there's no charge for any of them, and they are fantastic usually. I defy anyone to go to one of the films showing here without shedding a few tears and learning something about themselves.
Right.
Because they're just terrific. They still have 2 more to go this year around the country. The Cleveland Real Abilities starts on September 12th, and the Los Angeles Real Abilities will start on October 25th. And you can find more of them. We'll have the websites for all of the festivals on the website. So you can check that out. Next up, and running concurrently with a number of festivals, is one of, if not the oldest LGBT festival in the country. Boston, previously known as just the Boston LGBTQ Film Festival, it is now called Wicked Queer. They adopted that name a couple of years ago. Wicked Queer is usually running in conjunction with 1 or 2 other festivals at the same time, not necessarily in conjunction, although they do have they did present one at IFFE this year and also at Underground, as we heard.
Yes, that's true. 10
to 14 days of interesting films of interest of the LGBT community. Again, this year it ran concurrent with Salem. We did not get to any of them.
No.
And I feel badly for that. I did write for some screeners, was unable to land those. I apologize to the festival organizers, because always, we have never been disappointed by the films we have been to see at Wicked Queer. Most notably, Boy Meets Girl a couple years ago.
Boy Meets Girl, which is a criminally underseen film.
It is, with Michelle Handler and Michael Welsh. Really great stuff. And a couple of years ago, we saw Fursonas.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't heard of the gentleman that calls himself Boomer the dog, you'll see enough of him in this movie to last you a lifetime. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just, I don't mean that to be mean, but he's a very,
unique.
He's hard to take for more than a few minutes. This year, some of the festival titles they ran, in addition to Knife Plus Heart, which we mentioned, had run at the Underground Festival. It also ran here. They had, like as always, a number of sellouts. Jose was a huge hit with its crowd. They also have a large shorts community. Tons of shorts show at this festival, and all of them, almost all of them, sell out every time. They also had a couple movies I was really wanting to see that we did not. I was unable to get screeners from. I'm sorry. The Coming Back Out Ball, which is about senior citizens who are coming out as gay for the first time, and Sorry Angel, which is just made. It just got released a week or so ago here in America. It's from France. It's one of the more critically acclaimed films of the year. And both of these were impossible to catch. They also ran Lizzie. Oh, actually, so we'll have 12.
Yeah, I did actually.
We'll have 14 14 reviews tomorrow.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. And they screened all kinds of great stuff, all celebrating LGBTQ lifestyle and being who they are. This festival is about being included. They don't expect you to be LGBTQ if you come. They're open arms to everybody.
Yeah.
And
as long as you're there to see the films, to have an open mind about things, and, be a nice person.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And it has been just a fantastic experience every time we've been. It's an absolutely terrific one. Running concurrently with that this year was, that's old, was our annual sojourn to the Salem Film Festival. You've already heard some of the smaller short reviews of the films we saw there on our Travelog show about a month ago. But Salem Film Fest, which is handled... Salem Film Fest, I did it again. Not festival. Salem Film Festival is Salem, Oregon. Salem Film Fest is Salem, Massachusetts. It is Massachusetts' largest all-doc festival, and it is amazing every year. We see something every year that will blow our minds. And,
yes.
I mean, this year was no exception. Why can't I get this year's site to pull up? I got the old site to pull up. Okay. Well, let's just get rid of the 2016 there. That might be part of the problem. There we go.
And for once this year, we didn't have any weather issues at all. I mean,
No.
a couple of times we've been, and we love Salem. We've mentioned before, and I love Salem. Salem, Massachusetts is an amazing town. The problem is that when it starts snowing and gets really icy, Salem can be difficult to maneuver.
Salem has a lot of bad sidewalks, and they have a lot of cobblestones.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get around.
And when it gets windy in Salem, it doesn't play around.
Yeah.
That wind can cut your face like a knife. But this year we were lucky. The weather was pretty amiable,
Yeah.
I think.
This year they also expanded for the first time. They've been slowly expanding out to other theaters, but primarily the venues are the wonderful Cinema Salem, which is voted the #1 independent theater in the North Shore. It's an old SAC, which later became an AMC and later an entertainment cinema. And then when they closed it, Paul Van Ness bought it, remodeled it, turned it into the gem it is now.
Yep.
It has very old style sloped floor seating.
Yes.
And it's one theater you don't mind it in.
Nope,
It's
you don't.
awesome.
It's not one of your fancier theaters.
No.
It doesn't have recliners and heated seats and blah, blah, bells
They
and
are
whistles.
slightly rockers, though.
They do rock a little bit, but it's a great place to see a film.
It is. And they also show at Peabody Essex Museum and the Salem Visitor Center.
Yep.
This year they expanded to a couple places in Peabody and to the Cabot in Beverly, which is now also owned by Paul Van Ness. Amazing films. And we will have, I think, 8 reviews coming up.
I think so.
Tomorrow
8 or
from
9.
Salem Film?
We made it through all of the films. We decided beforehand we're going to see this, and this.
Well, we did it
and
last year,
yeah,
too.
and we made it through this, and this.
Oh, yeah, and Hail Satan also showed there, so that's technically one of their films
yeah,
as well.
We didn't make that one because I think something else was showing, or we had to leave, or which, I don't
Didn't
remember.
make what?
Hail Satan.
No, I'd seen it before we went.
Oh, that was what it was.
From when it was
yeah,
at Underground.
that's what it was.
I got
yep.
a screener. So, thank you to my connections at Magnolia for that. So it's a great festival, and there's a lot more we wanted to see from there that we didn't get to, but, unfortunately we can only take so much time off work every year for it, and unlike the Cape, we can stay twice as long at the Cape for the amount we spend at Salem every year.
Yeah.
Because Salem only has 2 now, but they only have one hotel, the waterfront hotel.
There's a lot of bed and breakfast.
They have
in
Hotel Salem up there
and-
now, but it's even more expensive. So, but it's like, because it's a tourist destination. After Salem is a festival that, unfortunately, because of the way they do things, we never get to give the kind of coverage they deserve. The Boston International Film Festival is the only festival in town which runs their programs in a series of odd mix of programs. They'll run a short, a feature, and a short, and they do it all day. They don't just do it in the evening on the weekdays. So it's hard for us to really bring the titles and everything to you from it. But we do try to get links up to the main features, and we try to give them a little bit of shout out on the site.
Shout out, little coverage.
This year, for the first time, they moved to the Kendall Square in Cambridge. They previously were at AMC Boston Common, and last year they showed at Carasota's, their opening night film. They also ran some at Cambridge College in Cambridge and Bunker Hill Community College in Boston, and had one screening at the Old South Church also. They have an interesting array of features. I've been once. I went to see a movie 5 or 6 years ago, 2011, I think. It was a drama that attracted me from the presence of Caleb Landry Jones, and I can't remember the name of it. But
it had something to do with summer, didn't it?
Yeah. Alexa Vega was one of the stars, and Caleb Landry Jones, and Kimberly from Power Rangers.
Amy Jo
Johnson as their mom, and I've forgotten who played the dad. I wasn't terribly impressed with the film either, but it was fun to go because I'd never been. I do wish it was a little bit more able for us to get to, and because they would give it more coverage, because of the way they schedule the shorts and stuff. It's really, we'd leave out most of their films if we didn't do the shorts, and it's hard for us to do everything when you're a 2-person operation.
Yeah.
So they get shafted every year, and I feel bad about that. And I mean, some of the highlights of the festivals over the years have also included, I've forgotten the name of it now, a movie that Eddie Furlong was in, a horror film. This year they did run a very popular film, Remy Sans Famille, which is a huge French family film that came out last year. I wanted to try and get to that if we could, but didn't work out because we couldn't get there. Number of shorts that are interesting looking. I don't know, maybe when it comes to the number of shorts, they're all over the road. Maybe we should let Theo know about this.
Maybe.
Our 2016 Male Rising Star Theo Taplitz is a very prolific filmmaker of shorts. He just did another one that got an award at the Chicago Children's Fest, I think, and he's got another one out that's entered in a couple of other festivals. And he's 16. It drives me crazy that he's only 16. Brilliant filmmaker. So anyway, Boston International was that one. Then we come to the last big festival of that period. It always closes our Boston Springs of Festival main coverage. The Independent Film Festival Boston is the largest of the festivals. Every year they have some 70 films in 8 days, plus shorts, plus panels. Every year they have a number of big name films. And Brian and Nancy, who run it, pretty much the head stuff there on their own, always pull together an interesting lineup of stuff. I'm always happy to see. Now sometimes, and I've told Brian this before, sometimes I'll expect to see something that doesn't show up there that I really wanted to show up there. Like Turbo Kid didn't come, and Brian was like, "Oh, we couldn't get it. We tried." And it's like, okay, well, I suppose, I'm being facetious, of course, but they have great stuff.
They do.
Every year. And why can't I get to that listing? I just had it.
They have great stuff. They have a lot of really helpful people that are volunteers that, they help people get to the right theaters. They were very nice to me because I have, I mentioned before that I messed up my knee a while back, and I walk with a cane now, and they were super. I did not expect any special treatment.
No, I didn't either. This year we got to do the elevator.
Yeah, I do not expect special treatment. I don't ask for it or anything like that. But they were like, "Oh, would you like to come in now?" and all this stuff like that. So they were super nice and really accommodating, and I will never forget such kindness.
It's always appreciated. Some of the things at this year's festival, and obviously we didn't get to everything. If you look at the schedules at Sundance and Slamdance, you'll see, and sometimes Toronto, you'll see a good number of films that end up at IFFB. This year, some of the favorites that were here were Art of Self-Defense, which is coming out next month with Jesse Eisenberg. The Farewell, big hit for Awkwafina. Her Smell, big punk rock musical that's a big hit with the critics. Official Secrets, which is about I've forgotten which 2000s war that has to do with. Shadow, Zhang Yimou's new film. Also, documentaries like Ask Dr. Ruth, Cold Case Hammarskjöld, For the Birds, Love Antosha, One Child Nation. These guys put out great films every year.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this year our schedule was a little bit limited. We could only get to 3. And as I've said, I've had zero luck with the screeners this year. Usually I can get another 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
I've had no luck with them.
We saw 3 films at that festival this year.
And normally we would be seeing 8 or 9 or maybe even more. One year we saw 12, which was in 5 days, which was insane.
Yeah.
And
we're not going to do that again.
No.
I don't think we have the stamina
we do the best
anymore.
We can with what we got.
Yeah.
But they are just a really amazing festival for up here. Held primarily at the Somerville Theater in Somerville, with selected dates at the Brattle Theater in Cambridge and the last 2 days at the Coolidge Corner in Brookline. Notice, Somerville, Cambridge, Brookline, nowhere is the word Boston in these. They got to claim that for 2 years when they were running one show at UMass Boston in Dorchester. They couldn't do that this year. So they're back to non-Boston IFFB. But it's like, they're always terrific. And if you're in the Boston area in late April, early May, it is always worth the chance to go. We have one more segment to go, and that's because we have one other festival to talk about that isn't part of this, and a couple of film series that are a part of this group of crazy times as well, and we'll be talking about those
when Subject Cinema returns.
Film, VHS, DVD, streaming, and beyond. This is Subject Cinema.
eCinemaBoston is your best choice for all the latest news and info about happenings in the world of film here in the hub of the universe. Local theater listings, ticketing info, reviews of local venues, spotlight on Boston actors, the latest film shoots, and a whole lot more. If you're in the Metro Boston area, you need eCinemaBoston from PNRNetworks. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaBoston.com.
Don't just sit around being a passive listener. Get involved. Take a moment to write to Subject Cinema and tell us what you think of the show, what your opinions are, what you think of the industry, and more. You may even get your letter read on the air. We love hearing from you. After all, you're who we're here for. So take a couple moments and shoot us an email. subjectcinema@popcornandroses.com. That's subjectcinema@popcorn, the letter N, roses.com.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Cinema number 630. Yes. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
I couldn't see if it says 30 or 80. I knew we weren't near 80. It is June 1st, 2019.
Yes.
And this is our annual Boston Springs Festival edition, part 1. This is our primer. For those of you who don't live in this area, what we do, every spring, in an 8-week period, there are 9 festivals, 2 film series, and another festival slightly outside our range.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
2 film series happen on regular weeks during the Boston Springs Festival season. The Dockyard actually starts beforehand. It starts in February, but it runs through usually through April. They run every week or every other week during the time, and it is exactly what it says it is critically acclaimed documentaries brought in by the group Dockyard, who is headquartered in Cambridge. They show their films at the Brattle Theatre. This year they showed, co-sponsored of Fathers and Sons, which was part of the Turkish Film Festival. They also did, part of the Global Cinema Festival, sorry. Also this year did the Grand Bazaar, The Competition, Yours and Sisterhood, Black Mother, Meteors, and The Raft. Mm-hmm. They run twice a year. They run in the fall as well. Mm-hmm. And I feel bad because I've covered them for years. We've never made it to any of their screenings, although we have seen some of the films later. And because they're always on a Monday at the Brattle Theatre. It's hard to get to on a Monday night. For years we couldn't go because we were covering Dancing with the Stars on Mirrorball Mayhem. Mm-hmm. So it was harder to do then. Now we have no excuse, really. We should get out there to one of these. The problem is, these series runs concurrently with another series on Monday nights held in Belmont. The Belmont World Cinema series, which runs from from March through May every year. And this year they're running a separate cycle of films in June. They also run a children's festival in January. Belmont World Film brings films that have not been to America yet, or at least not to the Boston area yet, and they combine it with a speaker every week. Occasionally, one or two of them usually have a prearranged separate purchase meal or something with it before the film airs at the restaurant next door to Studio Cinema in Belmont, where all the screenings take place. They did get bumped out of Studio Cinema when they were remodeling 2 years ago. They showed all of them at the West Newton Cinema. But having contact with the people in charge over there, we've gotten to see a few of the films here and there on Screener. We've never been able to get out there. It's a long way.
It is.
I suppose we could Uber, but it would be expensive.
It would be kind of expensive,
because it's right out by 128 there. Mm-hmm. But it is a cultural experience. Each film, they never repeat countries each year. They have different countries.
Yep.
Each week. This year they were the host of critically acclaimed Asako 1 and 2, which just opened nationally from Japan, and they also hosted a number of other great films, and they do well in Belmont. They do well with their patrons.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate, of course, that they do it timed inevitably at the same time. This year they ran into the back end of Wicked Queer, and they also ran into part of the Dockyard, like they always do.
Yeah.
But they have a solid audience. They don't need to worry. And
they have people who are very committed to going every year. So
yeah,
that's definitely a good thing for them.
The other film festival that happens inside of the window, but not in our jurisdiction, so to speak, because we do have our Boston Springs Festival has. When I set that up, we decided we would cover films cover films and venues in a 50-mile radius of Boston.
Yep.
But not including places in Rhode Island and New Hampshire, because they are less than 50 miles away. So just Massachusetts. Martha's Vineyard falls just outside of that 50-mile range.
Yeah. And
every year within the period, they also have a film festival. Their March festival is done usually the second weekend of March. It was running concurrently with Underground this year. And they always do an eclectic mix of documentaries and narratives. Again, this would be fun to get out there to do. Mm-hmm. They show at 3 different venues on the island, primarily in Edgartown. Edgartown has the, is it Edgartown or Wellfleet that has the Regal Cinema or the Entertainment Cinema? I forget which. They have a cinema there.
I'm not sure.
Most of them are there. But it is probably uniquely, you can honestly say it's uniquely Cape and Islands Festival, because Martha's Vineyard does thing to its own vibe. Always has and always will. And their festivals are no exception. You see these big halls with these comfy seats and the big screen up there. It's just really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. That's a lot of film festivals and film series inside of just an 8-week period.
Yep.
And a 10-week period if you include the sci-fi. So well over 200 films in a 2-month period from festivals. Most of which are at IFFB and Salem. They run the most features.
Yes.
We've been to all but one of them once. We've never made it to the international. Oh no, we haven't made it to global too. We didn't know about it until this year.
No, it's too
all
late.
the other ones we've visited at least once, and we're regular. When we can be, we're regulars at LGBTQ and Underground as well as Salem and IFFB. So it's an experience.
It is. And film festivals, people tend to think, oh, that's only something that goes on in the big cities and stuff like that. It's not. What you need to do is, wherever you live, Google film festivals near where I live.
Yeah.
You're going to find stuff.
It doesn't happen in just the big cities either. This weekend, right now as we're recording this, the Berkshire International Film Festival is going on in Great Barrington and Pittsfield. They're not huge cities. They both have about 4,000 people, and they are sharing their venues and their films as they do every year.
Also, if you're thinking, well, I'd like to go to a film festival, but I'm not one of those kind of people that go to film festivals, don't think that way. Because trust me, there is a film festival somewhere out there for everything. There are film festivals for... Obviously, we've talked about film festivals for films from different countries. And there's film festivals for sports films, for horror films, for cat videos.
Boston has more every year. Oh, actually, we should have included that.
Yeah, we really should have.
The Internet Cat Video Festival ran in this time frame this year also. We saw it at the Kendall.
Yes. We were lucky
it's only one night. But
it's one night, but boy, it makes you happy for days.
It's fun as hell. And I should have brought that up. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Because we go...
we went this year, and it was, oh gosh, we were definitely going to try and go next year.
Every year. And it travels around the country for 2 months. So.
Yeah.
But seriously though, Boston is an amazing, people, when you think of film festivals, and we've discussed this before on the show, people think of
they think of Sundance, they
Metropolises.
think of Cannes, they think of things like that.
Yeah, but here in America, they think of and North America, they think of places that are always mentioned in the big, online on the sites. Sundance, which is actually in one of the tiniest cities in the country, Park City, Utah.
South by
Sundance
Southwest.
is also out there.
South
by Southwest, Austin. Austin's insane. South by Southwest, the Fantastic Fest and Austin Film Festival every year.
Yeah.
They have
Tribeca,
incredible
things like that.
Tribeca in New York, the NY Doc every year. So those all get the attention. But the truth is, the local areas have great stuff. I know True False Film Festival, one of the most acclaimed film festivals in the country, another all-doc festival, runs in little tiny Columbia, Missouri, at the university out there, just 30 miles from where Eric and Valerie from Cavebabble live. And that's a great example. I'd still like to try and get to that sometime. Of course, Toronto, Telluride, all this.
Yep.
But the thing is, look in your own backyard. Up here we have tiny ones. There's the tiny New Hampshire Film Festival, the Snob Film Festival, which stands for somewhat north of Boston, held every year way up in, is it North Conway, New Hampshire?
I think so,
Or is that one in Vermont? They're all over there's these little fests that have these great films, and you don't, Newburyport here has a doc festival every year, and they're tiny places with great films.
And usually when you have these film festivals...
Salem started off that way.
Yeah. When you have these film festivals, some of them are tiny, but they have a lot of heart. And they have a lot of people that put a lot of time into making them a really good experience for you, the film goer. And a lot of them are staffed by volunteers.
We're lucky because we know a lot of people from Clotrudis. So we get to run into our friends from Clotrudis at a number of the film festivals every year. We'd volunteer if we had the time. We're so busy working, we just can't coordinate everything. But and we have no car. We run into friends like that. Even in Salem, Carolyn lives up in the Salem area, and she's always there. We ran into her this year and had fun talking to her. And it's just, you got to be ready though. If you're going to fest, make sure you scope out places to eat and times to eat before you go.
Yep.
And plan. We really screwed up our plans in Salem this year with one night at least. Almost didn't get to eat on Sunday night because we were too late getting out.
Yep.
Always look at the area around it too, so you'll know what else you can go shopping or whatever you can do if you're not seeing a film.
Yeah, if you have like an hour or 2 hours or whatever gap between
Salem
films.
is great for that. There's places to eat everywhere.
There's places to eat. There's places to shop. There's places to sit and people watch.
Cinema Salem is actually in the Witch City Mall. So before 9 o'clock when the mall's open, you can go shopping, or there's restaurants in there too, and it's great. And be prepared for the weather. If you're going during the summer, wear cool clothes for the weather. And yes, we're not going to lie. You will run into those kind of people occasionally at any festival you go to. Thankfully, they're usually in the minority and won't, bother you while you're trying to watch something, and they're asking you whether you could compare this film you just saw to something as great as Ozu or something.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you will every once in a while get someone during Q&As who will try to hijack the Q&A to get across their point, which has absolutely nothing to do with the movie you just saw. Thankfully, for
this actually has a history of happening in Salem sometimes, so it's like, okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Particularly the ones that screen at Peabody Essex. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's true. But for the most part, I would say the people that cause problems are few and far between.
Oh, they're not problems. They're not they're just film snobs.
They're the people that the second they start talking, you automatically feel your eyes starting to roll back in your head like, oh boy, here
Most
we
of
go.
them, however, are like you and us.
Yeah.
And it's always fun.
It is, definitely.
So tomorrow, on part 2, we will have 14 reviews. I forgot all about Lizzie at the LGBTQ of films hitting. That's because I didn't see it.
No, I
didn't.
didn't.
It wasn't on my letterbox. That's where I got my stuff from. And we will have reviews of great films, documentaries, narratives. 1 or 2 narratives. Not very many this year because we saw mostly documentaries. And at least one film that is going to kill both of us to talk about.
Yep.
All of them will be coming, or most likely all of them will be coming to your cinema. Some of the stuff that shows at Cinema Salem may actually end up on television, on PBS or other places. But most of them we saw this year have already got dates on Amazon or Netflix, so we'll make sure that you find out about those as well. And as always, we thank you for being indulgent when we go to our festivals every year and talk about them. The truth is, we would love to get to some of the big festivals that we've never been to, and we just can't afford it right now. We work regular jobs in addition to doing all this crazy stuff for you guys, and as part of our enjoyment of film and TV and music. That's what next week's show will be about, and we'll talk more about it then. Until then, don't forget to listen to all of our shows. Platinum Rose's Garden is over for the summer, but she's got a couple other things going on in her up her sleeve.
Yeah. I actually do have something going on right now that if you wouldn't mind taking a look at, I would appreciate it a lot. I have a petition going right now on change.org, and it is a petition to the folks over at Marvel to try and have them look at a specific actor for a specific role in the Marvel movie
She wants
universe.
Jared Padalecki to play Adam Warlock in the Marvel Universe.
Yes, I do. So hopefully, if you can put the link up in the show notes and stuff like that, please. And people can go check that out. It would mean a lot to me as a fan of Jared, because I think he's an amazing actor. I think him playing Adam Warlock would be
I think he's perfect for the role, actually. I do.
I really do. So hopefully you can go check that out. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at PlatinumRoselle at Twitter.com.
And they can also listen to your wrestling coverage every week.
My wrestling podcast, Ring Around the Rosie. My most recent podcast is up now for the inaugural AEW pay-per-view Double or Nothing, which which aired this past week. Vince, you should be worried. And hopefully you will go check that out.
It was a great show.
I would like to just say up front, it is not safe for work. So there's that. And
Kaiju Corner is on Patreon every 2 or 3 weeks when she'll get it up to weekly or bi-weekly again.
Yeah, now that we've finished with a month of Godzilla shows. So.
My show Catastrophe Vortex will be back soon. Either this Monday or next Monday. I don't know which. I'm still working on it, but I've got to get it back up and running. And I also host 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex on Tuesdays and Fridays. Latest DVD and home video releases on Tuesday Digidex. And all the films coming to your local cinema, and maybe not to your local cinema, but other cinemas, on Friday on 3 Minute Weekend. And also, Front Row 5 and 10 will be back, if not this Thursday, then next Thursday. And we promise it will be every Thursday all summer long.
Yes.
Swear.
It will.
Swear.
I swear it.
Because we've been skipping them too often.
Yes.
All summer long. New Front Row 5 and 10s on Thursday evenings. Definitely check it out. It's our list show.
And if you'd like to give us a list suggestion, please do so.
You can write to us at Front Row at PNRNetworks or at Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks. And we'd love to hear from you if you've been listening to our special miniseries. We've had great stuff, fun, doing the Big G Countdown, which ended last night with our review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. And, last month our Avengers Endgame countdown. We'll have another 2 or 3 of these maybe down the road somewhere. And we hope that you like them. And let us know what you think of the show. I'll point you out also, starting 2 weeks, our anniversary show, our show notes are going to have a completely new look. There's going to be a weekly poll, a weekly questionnaire I'd like you guys to fill out. And it will take like 2 minutes to do. And let us know so we can get more feedback from you and get you involved. And those of you who do it, there'll be prizes and stuff involved as well.
Yep.
So definitely be listening and check that out. And don't forget our other affiliated shows, Anthony Lamberti's Aunt B's Comic Grotto on YouTube, and Valerie and Eric Lyon and Cavebabble at Cavebabble.com. I believe they're going to be off the air for a little while after Jefferson City got hit by a F4 tornado a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, much love and prayers.
Thank God, all of them, they were fine. Their daughters and families were fine.
Yeah.
But it got too close to Courtney and
Amber.
A
lot of people in that area are not fine. So if you were in that area, you may want to look into your local Red Cross. A lot of people in the Midwest
are not fine after the last 2 weeks of insane weather.
Yeah, you may want to look into your local Red Cross out there if you can help out, if you can give blood or anything like that. If you're from that area. And I'm going to be doing something with the Kirkham Report. You can go over to KirkhamReport.com. If you're a music fan, there's going to be all kinds of new stuff because all my charts are coming online finally. Handwriting and all. Terrible handwriting. Year by year, starting with 1980, going back to my classic charts. And I'm going to be doing something new there eventually. I don't know whether we're going to get back on YouTube or not. They just pissed me off. That wasn't YouTube. It's the RIA and all those affiliated copyright stupid issues with fair use that just cause all kinds of problems. But I will have something new up and some new. And I always got tons of Spotify playlists, so you can come over and check those out too. And by the way, if you listen to any of our playlists on Spotify, on the Kirkham Report, there's 36 of them, and there's going to be more than that before long. Make sure you subscribe and follow it, and let people you do there too. It lets me know somebody else is listening. Yep.
And we appreciate you doing it. It's free. I hope it's good music that you like to listen to. So if you're a Spotify fan, come over and check me out at TKR Online on Spotify and check out our playlist. Or go to thekirkhamreport.com. They're there also.
Yep.
Follow me on Twitter at eCinemaOne, eCinemaBoston, and TKR Online. I think there's TKR1. I forget which. But I'm there with my music stuff too.
Yep.
And we hope that you'll be here tomorrow for part 2 of the 2019 Boston Springs Festival show. Until then... For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in blue.
Ta-ta.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon.
Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2018 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.